The NFL season has officially started, and in today's video I'm going to cover everything from going over the Hall of Fame game to injuries that have happened over the past week and contract disputes, and really anything you need to know about the NFL. So to start it off with the Hall of Fame game, so a lot of you out there kind of spent your time watching third stringers and fourth stringers play a preseason game, and it actually averaged the same amount of viewers as the NBA playoffs. So to start it off, we had DeMarcus Ware, a Hall of Fame defensive player who was very vicious back in the day, singing the national anthem in a very light, soft voice. And here it is. And he said it was in remembrance of his former teammate who passed away. But I just was not expecting that from him. And then when the game starts off, Zach Wilson actually looks okay according to most people. They're like, oh, he looks better. You know, after Aaron Rodgers is gone in a few years, is he going to take over? I don't think so, because if you look at his stats, honestly, they look bad. He was 3 for 5 for 65 yards, which sounds okay. I mean, he was only out there for a little bit of time. And, 3 for 5, 60%. However, as you've probably seen, Zach Wilson had a 50-yard pass. So if you take that away, 2 for 4 for 15 yards is just not impressive. So to start the game off, the Jets' second stringers took the lead. They got up 16-7 at halftime. And then in the second half, when the third and fourth stringers came in, the Browns took the lead. And it seems like everybody has fallen in love with the Browns' third string quarterback. But of course, before this game ended, there had to be some drama, and the lights turned off. Or I guess they didn't completely turn off, but about half of them turned off in the middle of the fourth quarter. So if you wanted to actually watch the entire game, you had to sit through a 20-minute delay to turn the lights on. But I have heard from my sources that the NFL was just trying to turn off the lights on the field for Aaron Rodgers to help him go through a second darkness retreat. So I kind of hope you didn't watch, but if you wanted to see the thrilling end, the Jets were driving down the field with a minute left, and then they threw an interception on 4th and 15, so the Browns held on for the win. But this doesn't really mean anything for the rest of the year, because when the Browns went 0-16, they were undefeated in the preseason. So better watch out, Browns, you might go 0-16 again. Then after the game was done, when all of the players got to the locker room, they're ready to take a shower, get clean, get on the bus, get on the plane, go home, they found out that the showers were not working in the stadium. So the NFL could not provide a stadium that has working lights or showers. And this is mainly because it takes place in Canton, where the Hall of Fame is, and it's simply just not an NFL stadium. But it is used for other leagues like the AFL and XFL, so it's not completely unused, but it's not up to the same standards as a NFL stadium. And next up, of course, with the NFL, sadly, that leads to a bunch of injuries happening. The most notable was the Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, who has a calf strain that's going to have him out for a few weeks, but everything that I've looked into, all of the doctors, they're saying that he should be back before the regular season starts. If you're a Bengals fan, I'd be nervous. If you're drafting him in fantasy, I'd be nervous. But he should be back before the regular season starts, as long as he does not re-aggravate it. However, calves are a little tricky, so if he re-aggravates it, then the Bengals are in trouble. Kenneth Walker of the Seattle Seahawks also got injured. This is a little more likely to actually reach the regular season. And he hurt his groin, which can be an injury that really lasts a long time. Kind of like calf muscles, but worse, because they just seem to stick around, and he could miss weeks into the regular season. They haven't officially said anything, but they have said that he is week to week. And what week to week means in the NFL is essentially we'll look at it in a few weeks and see if it's better. Day to day means we'll look at it a few days and see if it's better. So if you look at it in 2 or 3 weeks, see if it's better, then he's not looking good for the regular season.
I'm in danger!
And Cooper Kupp also got hurt with a pulled hamstring, but everything's with him, says he's day to day, so he should be back before too long. And then sadly, Tim Patrick, a Broncos wide receiver who is kind of, everybody likes him, everybody thinks he can do good, but he keeps on getting hurt, and he tore his Achilles, so he'll be out for the year. But on the bright side, Javonte Williams, the Broncos' star running back, looks like he will be back ahead of schedule because they have said that he's going to play in the preseason games, so he should be able to play the entire year. And Damar Hamlin was able to practice as a full participant after what he's gone through. I didn't actually think they'd let him back in the NFL, but I guess they will. And of course, with training camp going on, there are two things that can keep players off the field. The first one is injuries, and the second one is the players holding out. And there are a lot of big name players that are currently holding out. Just to name the best players that are holding out currently are Josh Jacobs, Chris Jones on the Kansas City Chiefs, he's a defensive lineman. Nick Bosa, another defensive lineman on the 49ers, who is one of the best players in the league. And Zach Martin, who is an offensive lineman for the Cowboys. And all of these players and many more are currently holding out. They're skipping practice. Many of them are being fined $50,000 per day, which cannot be refunded. And they're just hoping to get a better contract with their teams. Who knows what will happen? They could just skip most of practice, come in before it starts, which is what will most likely happen for most of the players. They could cave in. Maybe the team will give them an extra $1 million like the Giants did with Saquon to get him to come in. But it is something to pay attention to because your team's best player could be holding out and could be in danger of skipping part of the regular season. And another player who is all over the news, Jonathan Taylor, you may think that he's holding out, but he actually isn't. He's showed up to every single practice, and around the team, they say if they just didn't look at the news, it's as if nothing was going on. So, in case you really haven't looked at the news, I did make a video, but in short, Jonathan Taylor has asked for a trade, and his agent and Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, have had a really crazy back and forth, and they're going all out against each other on Twitter. But I guess in person, he's just showing up. However, he has not been practicing because he hasn't passed his physical and he is hurt. So there is some debate to whether it's from a non-football injury or if it's from his ankle surgery that he had earlier on in the year, which would be considered a football injury. And the big deal is if it's a non-football injury, then the Colts don't have to pay him. And if it's a football injury, they do have to pay him. And then four notable free agents that just signed with the team is Yannick Ngakoue, who was a very solid quality defensive lineman who played for the Colts last year, and he just signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Bears. So maybe, who knows, maybe the Bears will actually be okay this year. Hopefully they're not competing for the number one spot again. And then finally it just came out that Kamara for the Saints was just suspended 3 games for beating up a poor guy about a year or two ago. So he came to a settlement deal, and honestly it seems like he kind of got off free with almost no consequences. So if you've seen any of the images or videos, they're little graphics, so I'm not going to include them, but he really beat up this dude and faces almost nothing. There was a lot of thoughts that he would get 6 to 8 weeks of a suspension from the NFL, but I guess only 3 will have to do. So anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment if you have any comments, and subscribe. Bye.